Next, it's IndyCars as we cross the Atlantic again for live coverage from Long Beach, California.
IndyCar is brought to you on Eurosport by Firestone and Valvoline.
Here at Long Beach, always a big crowd here and beautiful weather to run this race in once again. We have completed so far one of our parade laps as our field of 28 cars is out on the track, warming up the tires, getting brake temperatures and oil temperatures up, and we should be set to go green flag racing for 105 laps in just a few moments. Michael Andretti is the man on the pole today. 9 times out of 11 this race has been won from the front row. He was able to fend off his teammate Paul Tracy during qualifying, set a new lap record and clinched that pole position and $10,000 in the Marlboro Pole Award. He has not capitalized though so far this year from his pole wins. He's had 3 this year, 30 in his career, which is the most of any active driver and 4th of all time, but he is unable to capitalize from the pole wins so far this year with a crash in Miami and also in Australia. Joining us today, Paul Page, Sam Posey and Bobby Unser, and in the pit lane we have Gary Gerald and Jack Arute to keep us up to date as far as all the information there. We're running 270 kilometers around this track at Long Beach today. Be sure to join us here on ESPN for round 4 of the IndyCar series.
All right, let's take a look at the starting grid here. Michael Andretti is on the pole with a new track record. Paul Tracy alongside. In row 2, it's Jill DeFerrin and Al Unser Jr. The third row, Mauricio Gugelmin and Bobby Rahal in his 200 start. Row 4, Teo Fabi and Jimmy Vasser. In the 5th row, Emerson Fittipaldi and Scott Pruitt. In the 6th row, Jacques Villeneuve and Christian Fittipaldi, who is in his backup car. He changed this morning. In row 7, it's Raul Boesel and the Phoenix winner Robbie Gordon. The 8th row, Brian Herta and Adrian Fernandez. In row 9, Danny Sullivan and Eddie Cheever. The 10th row, rookie Carlos Guerrero from Mexico and Alessandro Zampedri. In row 11, Andre Ribeiro and Eric Bachelard. In row 12, Marco Greco and Stefan Johansson. The 13th row, Eliseo Salazar and Frank Friant. And the 14th and final row, Hiro Matsushita and Dean Hall. So now they circle the course here at Long Beach. It's a magnificent circuit, Bobby Unser.
It's a beautiful track, but there's only 2 good places to pass. Look at that, going into turn 1 and going into turn 6. Other than that, it is a beautiful track.
So the 28 Indy cars down. This is Seaside. This is the backside of the course. 166.9 miles, 105 laps on the line here today. Fuel stops are very critical here. We expect the first stop between 30 and 35 laps, and generally you will see them all stop on the same lap. Now that's a key corner right there where they will make passes, but boy, it really requires a lot of courage. I'm Paul Page with Sam Posey, Bobby Unser. Jack Arute and Gary Gerald are in the pits, and they're making the final turn, and then they will come into alignment, ready to start this run here on the streets. A race that always produces some magnificent results. The Toyota pace car rolls for the pits. The front row comes off the corner nice and clean. We take a look for the start, and no start. No start. They were not well aligned at the front row. Not well aligned to the front row at all. And you can see the rest of the field continuing to drag along. Let's go down. We can get some update on a couple of stories that have developed here this weekend and start with Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, remember at Phoenix we talked about the new addition of the Ford power plant that Ford is gearing towards the Indianapolis 500. Their team Ganassi and Newman Haas had it aboard. Well, once again, both teams had it aboard for qualifying. But here's what we've learned. This team, Ganassi, both cars for Brian Herta and for Jimmy Vasser, they have the Ford Cosworth XP Phase 2 on board for the race the first time. What about Newman Haas, Gary Gerald?
Well, for both drivers that start in the front row, Paul Tracy and Michael Andretti, they used it in practice, they used it to qualify, but they did not have it in the cars for the warm-up session this morning, and there was a problem for Michael Andretti. It proved to be in the plenum, the upper part of the engine. Consequently, they had to make an engine change. Your pole sitter now shaking it down for the very first time as he goes around on this first lap under yellow. Paul?
You know, Paul, that isn't really a good sign. Nobody likes to change an engine without trying it out before the race starts. But that's going to have to happen. And, of course, that's what the competition is hoping for. That they can beat Michael on account of not having his engine in.
Michael Andretti. You see the onboard camera shot. As he gets everybody aligned, let's see if we can see a green this time. We do. Here we go. in single file. And look at DeFerrin. DeFerrin's going to challenge Michael Andretti in the first corner. Tracy comes to the outside. Al Unser Jr. closes up. It looks like they touch. Michael, Paul Tracy, DeFerrin, Al Unser Jr., Mauricio Gugelmin, Bobby Rahal through the second, third, and fourth turns now. Coming back up to top speed.
The incredible thing is they're running right now exactly as they qualified, but that first turn was one of the wildest scrambles we've seen this year.
We always know the contest, Sam, is going to be going into the first turn. It's awfully easy to pass at the start as opposed to on the track right here.
Well, DeFerrin, as Paul pointed out, has qualified highest of all the rookie drivers for each of the races, and boy, he really put his nose in just then.
Off of the tight hairpin, the tightest part of the race course. The conclusion of lap number 1, and Michael Andretti owns it. Paul Tracy is chasing. You ride with him. Slamming down through the gears now on the brakes.
Tracy leads the point championship, but it's Michael Andretti who's really been the fastest through the season.
Teo Fabi makes a move, getting around Bobby Rahal for 6th place. You watch from Rahal's car. That's Teo just ahead.
Now that was a fast going into turn 1. Everybody keep watching here throughout the entire race. Turn 1 and turn 6 is where most of the passing is going to happen.
There's Mauricio Gugelmin.
This is the back straightaway going into turn 6 now.
Bobby Rahal trying to catch back up to Teo Fabi.
Here's the place right here in turn 6. That's where we'll see some more passing today.
Back 2 left-hand turns, spin you around onto the final hairpin turn, and then back onto the straight. They're sitting right at opposite lock, or at full lock, trying to get the car around that corner. Very tight.
Gugelmin started 5th, Bobby in 7th. So Bobby is really on the attack at this point. You see him just ahead of Rahal's car there. He's pulled away that much in just 1 lap.
Let's go back up to the front of the field. Michael Andretti. You can see the interval as we look down from the blimp. That's Paul Tracy in second. DeFerrin has dropped back just a bit. But the 2 Newman Haas cars seem to be equally matched here. There's Seaside.
And they're 2 of the hardest charges there are. Watch them as you go down. Down the straightaway, they're virtually the same engines, the same cars, just different paint jobs.
Remember, they are teammates. It's odd that they had that problem at the start because they have been extremely cooperative on the racetrack, Michael Andretti and Paul Tracy have so far this year.
See how the field compresses as they come around the hairpin and onto the pit straight, the main stretch here. There's the start-finish line. Let's go on board Paul Tracy's car right now. Look at that. Blowback from Michael's car. Is oil? What do you think, Bobby?
Well, you know, there's nothing abnormal right now. Everybody should be taking it just a little bit easy right now. But remember, everybody was hoping, again, talking about the engines, that Michael and Paul Tracy don't have the new Ford engines, and they're the XB2. But by the same token, we do have them in the Ganassi cars. Now, everybody was thinking the leader right here, Michael Andretti, was going to slow down because of this. Right now, it doesn't look like it, though.
This has really been the story of the season so far, hasn't it, Paul and Bobby? Michael out front, Paul Tracy, of all people, driving a canny and strategic race. Kind of the reverse of what you might have expected before the season started.
And Michael Andretti with some terrible luck this year. 3 poles has yet to score his victory. You can see 1st through 4th right together there, and there is the battle for 3rd as Al Unser Jr. moving up on Gil DeFerrin.
Remember, Al Unser Jr., master of late braking here.
There it is right there. Whoa, be careful. Wow.
Wow.
Runner, did he
hit the wall? Yes, he did. Now they touched.
Boy, that's... Wow, it's hard to pass here. We said it was, and you can just see by that. That was determination from both of them. Don't give in. They do a lot of taking, though.
Whenever there's contact like that, you wonder, did it damage the car? I doubt if Little Al's car is damaged by either of those things. Do you think, Bobby?
What I wonder there is whether or not Little Al brushed him back. Now, it looked like something came off the wall. Might have just been a piece of paper.
Look at that.
Oh, no, he hit the wall. It
That's
straightened
the bad part, though. If anything is going to hurt, the front end hitting right there isn't hurting anything. But the right rear against the wall, that's what he's got to worry about. Wouldn't even readjust the toe in on the wheel a little bit. That would bother him if it did.
Boy, DeFerrin just got a little taste of what has made Al Unser Jr. the preeminent driver here in Long Beach. 5 victories for that man.
Yeah, but he always does it passing, Paul and Sam, going into turn 1, if you remember.
Yeah, that's true.
But the question we're going to have to be asking in the Penske pit is, did that little confrontation end up with some sort of change to the front end of Little Al's car. It was a car that he said wasn't handling all that good to begin with. Jack Arud, what's the story?
Well, Paul, let's update you. Al Unser Jr. radioed in to Richard Buck and to Roger Penske as to what happened in that pass. He said, we slapped wheels. He says, not to be concerned. Everything seems to be riding A-OK right now.
You know, as bad as he was looking at the front end, because he kind of had a hunch it was going to be touching up there, he might not even have known that he touched the wall with his rear tire, Paul.
Mauricio Gugelmin, you saw him there, really locked him up as he came into the corner off of Seaside, making that right-hander. And it lost the position for him. Rahal was able to get around. Al Unser Jr. runs in third place. The big question mark here today. Can he score yet another victory? He knows this track better than any other man. But Michael Andretti is very hungry for a victory. And right now he is the leader of the race, followed by his teammate, Paul Tracy.
And as you can see, Long Beach track certainly taking its toll on these cars. They get beaten up badly with all the walls around the track. In fact, some areas of the track they've improved this year. Turns 2 and 3 used to be walls. They've now flattened those out to give the drivers better vision as they go around those turns. As you see Little Al come around the main hairpin onto the main straightaway and head down towards turns 2 and 3. They've taken the walls out and they've put in curbing, which they're not really supposed to be running over. There you see Vassar, who's having a good run in that the new Ford Cosworth XB Series 2 motor, which they were supposed to use just for the practice and qualifying and not in the race, because Ford aren't confident it can last the length of the race. But the Ganassi team is hedging their bets. And here you see, as they go around 2 and 3, you can see that new curbing where there used to be a wall, so we didn't have so much contact and wouldn't put so many drivers out. Al Jr. made contact with Gilda Ferran. It may have affected either one of those cars. And you saw Gugelmin lock it up and lose a position to Teo Fabi just a few moments ago as well. Right now, though, it is Michael Andretti who continues to lead. Paul Tracy second. As we mentioned at the top of the show, don't forget this race has been won 9 out of 11 times from the front row. The only 2 people to have won from behind the front row are Little Al and Michael Andretti. Little Al, of course, the boss of the beach. He's won this race 5 times, 4 straight in fact. And Gallus team, which is running Adrian Fernandez this year, they have 5 victories here too. 4 with Little Al and 1 with Danny Sullivan. We should point out to you, the Sullivan and Gugelmin in the Pac West Reynards are running a Lola wing on their car. The rear wing is a Lola wing. Something you may want to watch out for as we see Christian Fittipaldi make a move on Brian Herter and get by, and that's Jacques Villeneuve right in front of them. A good race going on between the rookies and some of the new foreigners into the series. 17 international drivers representing 10 countries here today at Long Beach.
Eurosport Live.
As you rejoin us live from Long Beach, there is, as you can see, the most tremendous race going on between these 3. Michael Andretti, Paul Tracy and Al Unser Jr. This really is going to be a fantastic battle, but Andretti has it at the moment. The top 6, though, is Andretti, Tracy, Unser, and then it's Gilles de Ferran, then it's Maurizio Gugelmin, and then it's Bobby Rahal. So, everything to play for here at Long Beach, and if this battle keeps up, it's going to be absolutely terrific. They've got traffic ahead of them, and that could be the deciding factor. But always watch Al Unser Jr., especially down into turn 1. That's where he'll pull a move if he can. We saw earlier him overtaking there Gilles de Ferran in a particularly brave and incisive move. He's a very forceful driver here at Long Beach. He knows every single inch of this tarmac and concrete. So, although he's hanging back there at the moment in 3rd place, never discount Al Jr. in a Penske Mercedes at Long Beach. We go back now live to our American commentators Paul Page and Bobby Unser.
To the helmet that he was wearing last year when he won the championship.
Is it that, or is it a product of last week you were using the high-speed helmet and you don't really need the high-speed helmet here? That's really the case, isn't it?
No, he had this helmet at Phoenix, Paul.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. And the straightaway here is probably almost just as fast as the straightaways at Phoenix.
I think it's a product of a little superstition, and I think most of us who've raced are pretty superstitious.
Let's go to the pits and Jack.
Well, Paul, you alluded at the top of the show as to the problems that Al Unser Jr. had on Friday in the provisional qualifying, only being able to gather in a 27th qualifying spot. He had an engine expire, and he also, according to Richard Buck, did not have the proper setup in the car. Of course, they came back yesterday and qualified fourth, but they did not hit the combination until the last half hour of the pre-race practice session this morning. Once they found it, they took the buttoned up the car, rolled it back behind the garage, and you can tell by talking to Al Unser Jr. that he certainly had something stored up for this race.
He's got something going now, Jack, because he just ducked inside of Paul Tracy going into the first turn, was on the brakes a lot harder, went a lot deeper, and took second place away.
It's been, Jack, a tonic, hasn't it, to the other teams that Penske has had the kind of problems that you've described. Of course, they're running very strong now with Al bidding to take the lead here from Michael Andretti. But this has not been a characteristic season for Penske. Here we are in the fourth race of the year, and they haven't won one yet.
One of the favorite ways to pass, which is what little Al did to Paul Tracy right there, is lay back.
Whoa, he got hit. Whoa, hit again.
He got hit by Hall, I believe. Dean Hall.
And now they're all cummed up in there. Boy, gummed up big time.
DeFerrin down on the inside.
DeFerrin makes his move. He gets around Tracy. Now Teo Fabi's going to give it a shot. Fabi to the inside. Lines up behind DeFerrin.
That's a case of getting a run at things.
Whoa!
Boy, it's close.
Through turn one. Turn two now. Right-hander back for three. Tracy's going to make a move. And he spins him, and Tracy gets him.
That was inevitable. You can't do that going into turn one, but so many times. And pretty soon you're going to touch these cars. They're so close to sliding out of control anyway. And that was inevitable. It had to happen.
I think Tracy thought, I'm losing too many places. I got to do something about it.
Well, DeFerrin also is making an issue out of running too abreast going in there. I think he should have known after he made it with Little Al that there's really not much left of that.
We go to full course yellow. The IndyCar safety team already on the scene there. There you get an idea. See that coming up that engine compartment, even if the engine isn't running, and I'm not sure if it is or not.
Oh,
as
Michael.
Here comes Michael Andretti into the pits. We're only on lap 16. Al Unser Jr. into the pits. So here now with the 16th lap complete and the full course yellow, nobody's taking a chance.
Pit lane is busy. Good stop for Michael.
And also keep in mind that many of the other cars do whatever the leaders do, so they can stay with the leaders during the race.
They come out with Michael in the lead, followed by Al Unser Jr. on leaving the pits.
So they had identical pit stops. They come out in exactly the same relationship that they left the track.
Now this will loosen things up for Little Al by a whole bunch because he won't have the real hard guys hammer on his tail now. He'll be able to scientifically kind of work on Michael a little bit.
Let's go to the pits and Gary.
We get a shot here, Paul. You can see the black skid marks that Michael Andretti left when he launched from the pits. And believe me, he got out with less than 2 car lengths to spare on an onrushing Al Unser Jr. It was fractions of a second that made a difference on Andretti being able to protect the lead for the moment.
You're allowed to run 80 miles an hour in the pits, but nobody says that you can't get to 80 as fast as you want.
And I think you got it. It's about the third foot of those skid marks there. Let's take a look and see goes out. Here's the situation that set the whole deal up. And boy, it was spectacular.
DeFerrin on the right.
Through the first turn. Now they both get out. Paul tries to get under him, and DeFerrin turns across the front.
Do you remember this spot? Little Al trying to pass Michael Andretti many years ago, or not too many years ago, I guess.
Another view, same thing.
And you can't get 2 cars right through there going fast. It just simply won't fit.
There it is from above.
Spectacular view from overhead. You'll notice they have changed the inside of that turn, which gives them at least a little bit more maneuvering room. We're under full course yellow, 18 laps complete.
And once again, a very disappointing day for Gil de Ferran, who has qualified exceedingly well all season long. Last week, you may remember, he had a late spin at Phoenix, went on to finish the race, but didn't score any points. And now here, obviously, he may be able to continue this race, but has dropped many laps back, and obviously will have a fairly seriously damaged car, although we do know that those cars can stand quite a bit of pressure. If you remember last year, we saw Al Jr. and even Michael Andretti in Miami in Australia make big in contact with the wall and continue to run that race. There you can see the capacity crowd on hand here as a big international flavor. 7 of the drivers that are racing today live in California and in around this area, so they got a lot of hometown support. Some of our international drivers are now making California their home, so they got a lot of hometown support too. A big race here in Long Beach. Paul Tracy out, Gilderfran may be able to continue. And as you heard, most of the drivers made a pit stop following the leaders as they are now regrouped behind the pace car. We should get about one more pace lap and be green flag racing again. An interesting little story for you in pit lane. You did hear that the speed limit in pit lane is 80 miles an hour. As we now see, Raul Boesel has troubles out on the track. That pit lane rule is 80 miles per hour in the pit from pit 1 to pit 28. But from pit 28 to the exit of pit lane, it is any speed you want. And the pit lane is wide enough to overtake it, but you are not allowed to overtake. And there were some pretty heated discussions in the drivers' meeting yesterday as to if we can go any speed we want, why don't you let us overtake in the exit of pit lane? They decided it was too dangerous not to do that, and that they were worried that if they ended up behind a slower car in pit lane, they may lose positions. Of course, remember that blend line, you've got to blend in with the car. As you hit that blend line, you have to get in behind the car that is just right in front of you if the next guys let you in, and then stay in that position. If you don't, you get a black flag penalty, which we saw cost 8 drivers a lot of positions last week in Phoenix. It's a much tougher thing to do, of course, on a very high-speed oval. There you see Gilderfran, and that's the new curbing. The Budweiser sign there, the new curbing on turns 2 and 3, so these drivers can see these blind corners here at Long Beach.
Back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, the crowd from Brazil, over 100 of them, they're right across from Christian Fittipaldi's pit and showing some exuberance for their favorite driver, though it's hard to choose. There are so many Brazilians racing in the series right now.
And if you think that that's enthusiasm here in the United States, you should see how many people are watching in Brazil. This thing is so international. It's just fantastic.
We give you the rundown after 18 laps. We are under a full course caution as a result of the confrontation with DeFerrin and Paul Tracy as they try to get those cars unstuck. It didn't look like such a hard hit that they wouldn't be able to get both cars back into the action once they get them unstuck from one another.
Yeah, they've already lost too much valuable time. And also keep in mind,
what's going on here?
Having a traffic jam. Obviously a traffic jam. Because that hairpin is so hard to get through.
Of course, every weekend here at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, it's not just this race, it's a whole weekend of racing, including the Toyota Celebrity Race. Here's Sam Posey.
Michael Andretti continues to lead the field around on this pace lap behind the pace car as we try and get the Gilderfran car cleaned up. I was speaking to Deke Holgate yesterday, who was Gilderfran's PR man and the Pennzoil guy, and absolutely confident that they're going to win one race this year for sure with the talent of Gilderfran in the car. But they had a disappointing start in Australia, obviously, in Miami, where the car didn't even make a lap, and Australia went out with an incident. Also at Phoenix, things not going so well for him again here today. But Gilderfran, certainly a talent to be watching this IndyCar series, as he's proven in his qualifying runs. This week was his best ever with a 3rd place start. Just to take a quick rundown on the international field for you, you saw Raul Boesel. He is now being pushed down the pit lane back to the Rahal Hogan pit area. But at the moment, we have Michael Andretti. Teo Fabi stayed out when everybody else came in, so he has inherited the lead. Scott Pruitt, who is in a car with a brand new engine change since the morning warm-up this morning. They couldn't figure out what the problem was. They looked at the electronics. They couldn't figure it out, so they just put a whole new engine. Scott Pruitt on the Firestones is 2nd. Michael Andretti 3rd. Alonso Jr. at 4th. Eric Baccarat is 5th. Alessandro Zampedri from Italy is 6th. In 7th, we have Bobby Rahal. In 8th, Danny Sullivan. Then Johansson. Marco Greco in 10th, running in the Gallus 2nd car as we ride on board with Michael Andretti. Frank Frion, who will be running at the Indianapolis 500 in the month of May, is currently running in 11th position in the Andreas Liebli no-touch entry.
Toyota pace car bringing this field around under the full course caution. Johnny Rutherford is the driver there, and with the stops under yellow, Teo Fabi becomes the leader of the race. Only the 11th driver ever to lead in the Indy cars here in Long Beach. Now they're still trying to get turn 3 cleared out there. We had problems for Andre Ribeiro, who was stopped on the course, and also Raul Boesel had a problem. We'll check on both of those.
Okay, just keep in mind, Paul, that Fabi and Pruitt, who are shown leading seeing Michael Andretti and Little Al didn't stop during the pit stop. So that's the reason they're in the front right now. They're one pit stop short.
Let's go to the pits and Jack.
Well, Bobby, what you're talking about pit stops, the radio conversation up and down pit road since the drop of the green flag has indeed been concerned with fuel consumption. The first team to really make a move has been Emerson Fittipaldi's team. They have determined that on lap 60, they will make their next stop. And they've told their driver that it's critical that he comes in on lap 60. Meanwhile, the team behind me, Brian Herta, they've been notified by officials that when the green is dispensed once again, Herta will be brought in for a stop-and-go penalty once again for a pit exit violation. He rolled over a tire. Let's update you on the condition of Raul Boisel's car. They reported in that the car just stopped. They seem to think it may be a black box problem.
The black box is the ignition unit.
Shades of last week. Now tonight, starting at 6 Central Time, one of the greatest films of all time returns to ABC. Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments, starring Charlton Heston as Moses. The ABC Sunday night movie tonight at a special time, 6 Central. On board Robbie Gordon's car, the camera mounted back on the cowling behind the pop-off valve, which is what you see right there in the front. You can see Robbie's helmet and the two little wings coming out of the rollover bar there. Those are the antenna and the onboard camera for the cockpit view.
All right, you see right now the view from the wing or just behind the roll bar in Robbie Gordon's car. Now look at the little camera to the right of his helmet there. Let's jump down and take a look at that view. Look at that. That's down a second look from his car. And I might say that the Derek Walker team has sprouted cameras on this car the last 18 months or so for us and have given us some of the best views we've ever had, including a great pass that Robbie made at Indy last year.
Robbie Gordon, you ride with him, runs in 20th position. That was Eddie Cheever driving for the legendary A.J. Foyt just ahead of him. Let's go down to the pits once again. Pat Patrick, who is the owner of that 20 car of Scott Pruitt.
Pat, your ball club, your racing team right here has made a decision now to stay out and to gamble a little bit. How big of a gamble is it?
Well, we're not sure how big of a gamble it is. If we get another yellow in good shape, if we don't, we may have to stop on the green, or we'll have to stop on the green.
You had to make a motor change after the warm-up this session. Obviously, it looks like everything's working well.
It's going quite well, thank you. The tires are performing very well. Scott's doing a good job. We're very happy.
Okay, that's the word from Pat Patrick, Paul.
Well, they stay full course yellow. I think there was a hesitation there from Pat because he heard the engines come up and thought they might be going green, but it's going to be another lap of yellow.
Yeah, and you know, I just want to remark on Pat Patrick's decision to leave him out, or his team's decision to leave Scott Pruitt out. I think it's a bad decision, Paul. Whenever you can stop under the yellow, you don't lose anything, or you shouldn't. Whenever you stop under the green, you're obviously going to lose an awful lot. So I question their deal. They're still in the same lap. They're just barely ahead of the leaders, Michael, Little Al, and they're going to get past most likely.
Bobby, they're looking for a sponsor, though, for that car, and I think sometimes you have to run up front to draw attention to yourself, don't you think?
But keep one thing in mind, Sam. Pat Patrick has been racing a long time. He's one of the oldest car owners we have in the business. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, we finished this full course yellow. One of the cars out is Paul Tracy. He's with Gary Gerald.
Paul, what was the situation and how did you see it from your seat?
Well, it's got boxed in traffic and got passed by a couple guys, and I was trying to get by Joe DeFran going into 3, and you know, I couldn't give him any more room. He just kept squeezing over, and I was on top of the curbs, and you know, you can only fit one car through there, and I was on the inside, and he just pinched over on me.
Now, last week you had survived on the mile at Phoenix. You got the championship points lead, and now it's got to be a bitter disappointment because that goes away at least for this week.
Well, it does, but you know, we got lots of other chances, and Kmart Budweiser car was running good, and we'll come back next week.
All right, we're ready to go green. Back to the booth.
Well, you bet we are. Green comes out. Teo Fabi leads the field down. A whole line of cars trying to the inside, including Adrian Fernandez, who's not in the battle. But take a look at Michael. Take a look at Al Unser Jr. as they come side by side into the corner. Scott Pruitt protects the inside from second.
Al has taken Michael. That has big implications. There's Michael running right behind Al.
You know, it's a question when you come down from start like that, who are you going to follow? Some of the cars in front of the slower cars. Michael picks one, Little Al picks another way. You never know what's going to happen. It's like flipping a coin.
But that was another instance where Little Al outbraked a major competitor. He obviously sets his car up and his nerves up to make these incredible moves coming down into that first turn.
Sam, that wasn't outbreaking Little Al. That was who you were behind. You know, it was just no different than a gamble on that one.
So Al Unser Jr. gets around Michael Andretti. That is a battle for third place. Little Al is there now. The two cars in front of them, Teo Fabi, the leader, and Scott Pruitt in second place, have not stopped. There they are. The cars are lighter because they're running well down on fuel right now. So theoretically, these two can be a little faster.
Yes, weight makes so much difference on road circuits. You go from such slow corners to such fast speeds, and it's all an acceleration race. So weight makes all the difference in the world.
Brian Herta just completed his stop-and-go penalty for brushing that tire.
Remember the great story about Pruitt, who back in 1988 took his life savings of $70,000, bought himself a ride here at Long Beach, and as they say, the rest is history because he broke into the big time with that one move. Of course, he's running these new Firestone tires here, and this is the highest we've seen him run in a race so far this year.
I couldn't be happier to see him linked up now with Pat Patrick. If there was a deserving driver in the series, and there are many, I think you really have to point to this guy. Suffered serious injuries in a test in his Indy car. That's Carlos Rivero,
who's done extremely well this year by this race in his maiden voyage in an Indy car.
He had little problems in his warm-up session this morning. He went down and spun out going into turn 6. But before he did that, he was the second quickest car at that time.
Race summary at the conclusion of 25 laps. Average speed is down. Of course, we've had 2 cautions, one on the start, and then one when Paul Tracy and Gilder Farron got together.
Now keep in mind, you see these 1, 2, and 3. Little Al's the third car in line there. Fabi, Pruitt, and Little Al there. Now, he's not trying really hard to pass right now. He's heavier on fuel, like you mentioned, Paul. But he also realizes, for all practical purposes, these two guys are down a lap.
Also, tactically, what would be the theory, Bobby? If I'm sitting there with a full car, do I want to drive hard or do I want to try and save those tires? Would it make a difference?
Well, saving the tires. You know, I've been watching during the practice deals. I think all the tires are working good. I know that I check all the temperatures on the Firestone because I'm so used to the Goodyear tires, and they're running very cool here. So I don't think anybody, or for sure Scott Pruitt, is going to be able to hurt the Firestone tires.
No, he says they run very consistently.
So now Al Unser Jr. trying to move on second place Scott Pruitt. Of course, both the first and second place cars should be about 8 laps away from their first scheduled stop of the day. They've obtained these positions because they stayed out during the yellow flag. So the round continues here in Long Beach. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Eurosport Live.
They're having a serious problem right now with the right-hand rear tire on the Pruitt car. This guy was running as high as he's been running all season in second position. They'd hoped for this yellow flag. They got the yellow flag, which they wanted, but a long pit stop for Pruitt, but he's now back out and underway, and he should be rejoining the race crowd. Once again, bit of disappointment right here at the Firestone Pat Patrick pit area. A little twitch we should tell you about that these guys have added for the racing here to make racing easier for some of the drivers. They have a new light in their helmets, and this light comes on at the peak moment for a shift, a gear shift change, either a downshift or an upshift, so they hit it just before they hit the rev limiter, which is set obviously throughout the various revs depending on which track they're running at, but it's to make them change gear before they hit that rev limiter and lose any power. It's a new little device they have here. It sits in their helmet right in the visor of the driver's helmet. Brian Herta, who had the pole last week at Phoenix, the best run for him so far, is having trouble and out of this race and won't score points. Remember, last week he had a black flag penalty and he also had motor problems and dropped back and finished 14th. Brian High Speed's Herta, who witnessed his first ever IndyCar race right here at Long Beach in 1985, and that's when he decided he wanted to go racing. He's raced here twice before in the Indy Lights series. Of course, he won that championship, but now this year racing for the first time in an IndyCar here at Long Beach in front of his hometown crowd. So another one that's got a lot of support here for Brian Herter. We'll take a look at the rundown of the leaders here.
One lap's gone at Long Beach. It's Unser from Zampedri, Michael Andretti, Bachelard, Bobby Rahal and Maurizio Gugelmin. And of course, this race is going to have a tremendous effect on the championship because Paul Tracy, the championship leader, is out of the race. Remember, he was leading by just 2 points from Villeneuve, Rahal and Scott Pruitt. So at the moment, Bobby Rahal is looking pretty good here at Long Beach. Teo Fabi and Scott Pruitt have gone into the pits, taking advantage of the yellow flag, and the yellow flag is because Brian Herter has put his car into the wall and he's out of the race. So it's been all action, all drama, and I must say nearly all yellow flags so far here at Long Beach. I suppose we've come to expect this on street circuits, but with just 31 laps gone, this really has been run under an exceptional amount of yellow flag. And at this rate, the race is going to run to its full 2 hours. It's 105 laps at just under a minute a lap, but if we get a lot more of this yellow flag, then we could be somewhere near the 2-hour limit. But things are looking good at the moment for Al Unser Jr. He got past Michael Andretti, and even when he was behind Scott Pruitt and Teo Fabi, it didn't appear that Andretti could catch Al Jr. And here they are. We're riding with Michael Andretti in the Newman Haas Lola Ford. That is Al Unser Jr. right up there ahead of him, and the pace car in front of them, of course. And they're still, at the moment, clearing away the wreckage of Brian Herter's car, and it shouldn't be that much longer, I wouldn't have thought, before this race is back underway. And let's hope we see a great battle between Michael Andretti and Al Jr. Well, both of them need the points, particularly Unser. Michael Andretti lies 4th in the championship on 24 points at the moment. And there you can see why they call it the American Monte Carlo, all that water. So it's time to go back to the American team in Long Beach, Paul Page and Bobby Unser.
A lot like Australia, the track here, and both Goodyear and Firestone brought new tyres to this track, but the backup tyres they have in case of any problems are the same tyres they had in Australia. The track layout is very similar. It's basically 2 long straights with a couple of curvy sections at the end, and as you heard Bobby Unser point out earlier, very hard place to overtake, and we saw a lot of bumping and grinding. And of course, if you remember back at Miami, Villeneuve won the race in pit lane due to the great work by his crew, and that could well be the story here again at Long Beach. Round 5, of course, of the series coming up in Nazareth in a couple of weeks as we go to an oval. But let's head back now to Paul Page, Bobby Unser, Sam Posey, Jack Arute and Gary Gerald.
On board, Robbie Gordon. He sits in 11th place, the winner of last week's race. But he's been steadily moving up. There's the breakdown. Almost half this race has been run under the yellow, 3 different yellow periods.
This morning I came out of my room where we stay here at the hotel, and I got a tap on my shoulder. Somebody ran by me on down the hall. It was Robbie Gordon, 7 o'clock in the morning, bursting with energy. And I said, well, what are your prospects in the race? I mean, we know that he won, of course, last week at Phoenix. He said, well, I'm having a lot of traction problems with the car. Can't get off the tight turns fast enough. So that's a problem he's having, but he seems to have worked his way well up.
We got the tap from Robbie.
Cool. He has so much energy. Did you see him when he got out of the car last week at Phoenix after 2 hours of driving? Wasn't even tired.
We call that youth, Sam. He's younger than we are.
We don't know much about that anymore, do we, Bobby?
All right, as we get ready to go back to green flag racing, Al Unser Jr. will be the leader, followed by Michael Andretti, Bobby Rahal, and then Maurizio Gugelmin. Let's get an update from Gary.
Just an interesting sidelight regarding the PacWest cars. Gugelmin and Danny Sullivan. They're both Renard chassis, but they're running a last year Lola rear wing. It's a little less downforce. This is a low downforce street circuit, but that's an unusual combination. The Renard chassis, but a Lola rear wing on both of those cars.
The better straightaway speeds as we're getting ready. And the green flag comes out. Lap 33, we're back to racing. and looks like Villeneuve's got himself a problem. He was lined up right behind Gugelmin as they came back to green, and then he just pulled to the side.
Obviously, it's a power problem. The nice thing about it is it's such a good driver, that young man. You notice how he got clear out of the way so nobody would rear-end him. He really is a good-thinking driver.
And Bobby, he was tied for second in the championship behind Paul Tracy. You see Ray Hall now. Ray Hall also tied for second in the championship. Now becomes, at this point in the race, the front runner. There's been quite a reshuffle in the championship standings as of right now.
So Gugelmin comes into third place. Ray Hall now runs in fourth. There they are, all right together.
Michael's really working hard on little Al right now.
Ray Hall's 200th race here, as you pointed out, Paul, but he's never won it. He's been second 4 times.
And we go to full course yellow.
Oh, yellow, yellow, yellow.
Let's go down to the pits, Gary.
Yes. A very concerned crew on Team Green. The word from the radio, they suspect it's gearbox problems. That's the nemesis of Long Beach and so many of the street circuits. It was a problem in Australia. A 24th birthday has just hit a real sour note for Villeneuve, who was the winner in Miami.
He's
one of the things,
very precarious position, and that's the reason for the yellow. I bet he's real glad to see it.
Oh, for sure. But one of the things we have to remember about the transmissions, we tell everybody they have transmission problems. It's because they build them real light today, Paul.
So here are the top of the field after 35 laps. Al Unser Jr. is looking very strong. Will he be the king of the beach again? Let's see.
At Long Beach, it's after 105 laps complete. We ride on board with Danny Sullivan. There you see Jacques Villeneuve. You heard the problem is the transmission. Here's Robbie Gordon also running in that Reynard this weekend. Now remember, we pointed out earlier, and we actually pointed out at Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, the problem with the Reynards they have on these street circuits is there's a certain selector drum that they're having problems with. Now the Reynard guys sent out new selector drums to most of the team, but not everyone got one. So there was a lot of talk that transmissions could be a problem here again at Long Beach. The same sort of thing. It's tough on the gearbox. You're going up through the gears and then slamming back through the gears again. It's tough on gearboxes and tough on brakes here. Because you've got to keep those brakes cool too. They cool off quickly down the straightaway, but then get real hot real quick. The Brazilian crowd on hand, as we have many viewers in Brazil now rooting, of course. Gil de Fran now out, but they still got Christian Fittipaldi, Mauricio Guzman, and Emerson Fittipaldi to root for. You see Christian Fittipaldi, who's back in his backup car this afternoon, went out in the warm-up this morning, just didn't like the regular car at all, and he said just change the whole thing. So they went to the T car, they put on bits from the regular car, and he is now running out there in that car and having a good run at the moment. He's currently right behind Uncle Emo in 7th position. Emo sat with Christian yesterday in a driver's meeting and sort of prodded him along to ask a few questions. I think Emo didn't want to ask. They had the young Christian ask him, so keep Emo out of trouble. Pace car takes the field around the track. We should be getting a green flag at any moment as they get Villeneuve's car cleared off and back into the pit lane area. Disappointing run here for Villeneuve, who was running so well in the championship. Had that win in Miami, of course, the season opener, won at Road America last year, picking up his first win. Robbie Gordon had his first win at Phoenix last week on the oval, not having a good weekend so far, as we rode on board with him a little earlier. He is currently in 11th. He didn't qualify well. He qualified back in 14th. And has not been able to improve his positions much so far, only in fact by the attrition. Robbie Gordon having a tough weekend. Mauricio Guzman, teammate to Danny Sullivan in the Pac West car. As you heard, they're running a Lola wing on the back of their Reynard this weekend. Let's go back to Paul Page, Bobby Unser, and Sam Posey.
Back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, a record number of yellows now. We're in our 4th, and while they get Jacques Villeneuve off the track. The old record was 3 in '93. Now, driver Mauricio Guzman, he's gotten off to a strong start in this year. Currently 5th in the point standings. He is one of the most personable drivers on the circuit.
Great aerial view of the Long Beach here area, the beautiful downtown arena, which has got a wonderful paint job on it of the whales and marina was done. In fact, Al Unser Jr. did some of the paint work on that when they originally did it. They put him up a ladder and he did some painting. Michael Andretti, we ride on board with him. We told you he's got 30 poles He is the winningest pole driver in the current Indy driving standings, 4th overall long term. Al Unser Jr. has 27 wins in the IndyCar Series. 18 of his 27 wins have come on street circuits like this. And as we mentioned earlier, he's already got 5 victories here, so we could see another great show from Al Jr. He is currently listed as leader. Michael Andretti is 2nd, Mauricio Guzman 3rd, Bobby Rahal 4th, Jimmy Vasser is 5th, Emerson Fittipaldi 6th, Christian Fittipaldi 7th, Eddie Cheetah 8th, and in 9th is Andre Ribeiro, and in 10th, Bobby Rahal.
Mauricio Guzman, he's a great guy. There's the way they are lined up, and you can see Mauricio sitting there in 3rd place behind first Al Unser Jr. and then Michael Andretti. Is this Al's day? Is it Michael's day? A lot of good stuff could happen here this afternoon. Bobby Rahal's 4th. Jimmy Vasser is now in 5th place. There comes Jimmy off the corner. And then Emerson Fittipaldi, then Christian Fittipaldi, his nephew. Then Eddie Cheever, driving for Foyt, Andre Ribeiro, and Teo Fabi. We should see a green flag here shortly. Here we go. We're back at it. Bobby?
You can see how hard little Al worked to keep Michael behind him. This is where pass could happen, of course, going down the first turn. Little Al really wants a little gap there, and of course, that's what he got.
But look at Guzman as he tries to get outside of Michael, sweeps across the front, and Mauricio takes 2nd place.
Chopped him right off. Boy, that was a wrong day for Guzman doing it to Michael. I mean, he really cut. If Michael would have been stubborn, there would have been an accident right then and there.
But Bobby, Michael's been very cautious in this race so far. Don't you agree?
Well, I think obviously right there, Sammy, he was very cautious. I've never seen Michael that cautious before.
Guzman got a terrific jump on him come at the restart, and I think he knew his number was up. Also, the implications of the championship can't be lost on Michael. He went into this well back in 6th place in the championship with only 25 points. He really needs to take some points out, and with Tracy out of contention, he has a chance to do it.
Points are absolutely critical for a guy like Michael looking for a championship. EDS tells us that Bobby Rahal, that yellow and black car, now runs in 4th place. Jimmy Vasser is chasing him. Jimmy's had great runs all year. Look at them as they come around Guzman. Right rear tire.
Guzman lost a tire. He had a contact or ran over something. And so hard to tell.
Worst place on the race course, he's going to have to go all the way around with that.
But look what he's going to do to all the traffic, too. Boy, it's getting pretty skinny down there. There's not a thing he can do. He can't stop and he can't accelerate. Robbie Gordon almost hit him right there.
You know, you can't forget that Paul Tracy had that happen not once but twice here. Still scored his first IndyCar win.
What a sad thing. He's got to go around this speed all the way around.
Almost 1.6 miles around this course, and it happened to him just as he was crossing the line. Now the leaders of the race.
You see Rahal there in that black and yellow car. Rahal has gone on the wagon for this season. Stopped drinking, lost 15 pounds.
And Christian Fittipaldi's gotten around his uncle.
I wonder what the field's like on that. Sam, you ought to know about that one.
Bobby Rahal, right behind him is Jimmy Vasser.
I don't mean to imply that Rahal was a drinker in any way to begin with. I'm just saying he stopped altogether.
Vasser now trying to worry Rahal. That battle is for 3rd. Jimmy Vasser, tremendous racing experience. Let's go to Gary Jarrett.
Problem, of course, on that right rear. It's already off the hub. They're making the change all the way around for Mauricio.
Any damage to the car, Gary?
I'm looking. I don't see any damage at this point. No, they're waving. There's a problem back there at the right rear. They're still up on the jacks. It looked like it was routine until just the final moments, but they can't get that tire on, so apparently there was some difficulty. Now they've got it on. They're waving him down off the jacks, and away he goes. It was just under 30 seconds.
Back Racing had such a rough year last year. This year, they've really got the cars going fast. Both drivers working good, but problems like this are really prevailing with them.
Well, we said it's starting so many surprises. Here's a guy moves into 2nd place, looking so strong once again, looks so great at Miami, and then that happens to him. But not to forget the lessons of Paul Tracy. There's Jimmy Vasser as he continues his chase of Bobby Rahal.
You saw Rahal just go by. If the race ended right now, he'd be leading the championship with 44 points. Michael would be 2nd with 41, and Al Jr. would have 33. He'd be 3rd. So it's a big day for a lot of people that are new to the lead in the championship this year.
Paul Tracy would be 4th. Jack Villeneuve would be in 5th place. You ride with Ray Hall. Let's just ride with him a bit here. This is in the first corner. He's going through 2 now, so Raul Boisel, who had a bit of a problem earlier and has not really been a contender here, has his left rear go. But is this predictive of something?
Well, here's what is probably happening. I doubt that these guys are hitting cars or walls with these flat tires. It's debris on the track. These tires, again, I want to tell everybody, they don't have inner tubes in them, as you can just see. They're a real thin tire. Even a little rock sometimes will puncture a small hole in them. Doesn't make any difference whether it's a Firestone or Goodyear. It's just one of the things that happens with these type of racing tires. They have to be very thin in order to keep the heat down. That's what makes them fast.
Quick check with race control. They don't think that there is any debris out there, but obviously they're going to. But wait a minute, what was that bouncing across the track?
But you see, debris cannot be seen just by eyes that are going around faster by cameras as we're looking at them. It just takes a little tiny rock or a bolt or a nut. That's all it takes to have a flat, and of course the tire just shreds to pieces, Paul.
And what race control does when they run into something like that is they pull the corner stations all around the track. Over 100 volunteers as course marshals here, and they check them. Can you see anything? They're right there, right at the edge, looking on the track. They're very good at it. They are volunteers, but they're every inch professional in the job they do here.
They are the very best. I know a lot of those people, and they take their work as serious as the race drivers do.
Battle continues on the track between these two, Christian and Emerson Fittipaldi, Jackaroo.
And one of the things that's happening, Paul, is Christian Fittipaldi is getting the better of his uncle, and I mean the better in terms of media. Christian sees all of the Brazilian TV and how much attention that they have paid to his uncle. Listen to what Christian is doing this week. He is wired up live to Brazilian TV and giving commentary from inside the cockpit.
Looks like a pretty busy day for him.
He, of course, is half Emerson's age, exactly, and has a tremendous future. He's tremendously popular.
Raul Boisel comes in to get that tire replaced, Jack.
And Paul, one of the things Bobby Unser alluded to, the fact that there's only 5/30 seconds of rubber on these tires. For the fan at home to try and figure out how much that is, take a quarter, hold it sideways. The width of the quarter is 5/30 seconds.
That's thin. Doesn't take much to puncture one of those, Jack.
Especially on your quarters, Bobby, because you keep them a long time.
I keep my quarters kind of thin.
Al Unser Jr. at Long Beach. We have come to know that this is the combination that dominates this race. It's unbelievable to see it happen again because the season had started so badly for little Al.
Top 5, Unser Jr. There is Jimmy Vasser. He had a problem. He was running in 4th. Just pulled in and shortcut the course. Must have seen something on board. Gary Gerald?
Jack Villeneuve has made the long walk back from turn 3. I'm assuming it related to the gearbox, Jack.
Oh, it was the drive shaft or something. Yeah, something between the engine and the wheel just broke, and we had no more drive.
Was it an instant break, or did you have any warning at all where you had to struggle?
No, it just broke on the restart out of the hairpin.
This is an awful tough way to celebrate a birthday.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Happy birthday, Jack. You called that one, though, Bobby.
With Herta and Vasser both out of the race, that means that that new Series Ford engine is not getting any test miles today. That's probably a setback for that program.
It is, Sam, because that's exactly what they want to do. They don't want to put everybody that's running Fords in the new ones. They just want to develop the engines, and they were running so good. They have such good power bands in them. The guys really like the engines, and I think they're going to come out to be a nice engine for the entire year.
By contrast, what we see here is a Mercedes-Benz engine in the Penske car leading a Ford engine in the Newman Haas car.
Yeah, but let's think about that now as we continue to watch that battle at the front of the field between Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti. There's little Al. What does that do for us? We know Herta went off into the barrier, but we're not quite sure, and I think it's probably pretty important to find out what happened to Jimmy Vasser, because if it's engine related, does that predict a future?
Well, doesn't have to be that at all. A lot of the guys are having tire problems or flat tires. sometimes that could be what gets them in. When we see a car go almost straight into the wall like we did, there's a reason for it. The drivers just
I'm talking about Jimmy, who just pulled off.
Well,
we have no idea what his problem
was. No, but I don't think it was tires, Paul. I think it was probably, most likely, a transmission. Look at Michael gaining a little Al right through here.
Battle at the front of the field begins to warm up. Michael Andretti doing everything he can to chase him down.
It was a victory at Long Beach here that launched Al's championship initiative last year. It was his first win of the year, and the same thing was true back in 1990 when he won the championship. So don't think for a minute that because Al Unser has not had a good start to the season that he is not a contender for the championship.
Little Al comes off of that hairpin so strong, but Michael catches him at the end. Let's go pit side and Jack.
Well, Paul, let's end the speculation on the condition of Jimmy Vasser and why he pulled off. A fuel alarm went off in the cockpit of the car, and he shut the engine down. So that's the problem. Now, let me update you on when the next series of pit stops should occur. Should come in, as we told you, Fittipaldi dead on the mark at lap 60. Now it's been moved to lap 61 to 63 for the front runners.
We're watching those front runners. Al Unser Jr., then Michael Andretti. Third place is Bobby Rahal, then Christian Fittipaldi, then Emerson, and Eddie Cheever runs in 6th place.
You know, I just did a little checking on little Al. He's not slowing down. Michael is speeding up. I just used my stopwatch, Paul. So Michael's putting the pressure on him, and he's really, really doing that. Look at little Al. He's trying to speed up. Michael's already on the prowl, trying to give him a pass there.
At 6th place car, Eddie Cheever started 18th in this field. Now running 6th. We continue to watch the lead.
In many ways, of course, these are the two great young drivers in the business. Both of them Americans, both from great racing families. And it's rare that we see them race wheel to wheel as they are now. This is classic stuff.
I just like listening to the motors here. Let's just do that.
Come out occasionally. That's when he shifted.
Up and inside, Hiro Matsushita, who wisely gets out of the way. So we take a look at the top of the order with Al Unser Jr. out in front. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Eurosport Live.
Closing.
We're back approaching the halfway point in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. You ride with one of the young guns that we talked about at the start of the show. He is, of course, Robbie Gordon, but he's back in 7th place, the winner of the last race. He has some distance to make up. In fact, of all of those, Paul Tracy is out of the race. Jacques Villeneuve is out of the race. This is the only one of the three we mentioned at starting who is still there. And the guy who said, I'm the king of the beach, Al Unser Jr. runs at the front of the field. Now, we had a yellow flag on the start because of the poor alignment. And then after we got going, it was Paul Tracy and Michael Andretti, as we're watching Michael now, who battled it out. And then Tracy got together with Gilles de Ferran and took both of them out and brought out a full course yellow. Now, the leaders of the race came in at that point. Some cars stayed out, most notably that of Teo Fabi and Scott Pruitt. As we continue to watch this hot battle, Michael Andretti, let's watch him because he's tucked in there. Let's see where he's going. Will he come out of the corner ahead? Michael locks the brakes going into the corner. Al Unser Jr. takes the corner, and a very costly mistake for Michael.
Well, that was, you know, that I just can't understand Michael doing that. It's not like him to do that. He really had little Al past, the third car being involved there. There's Dean Hall on the left. There's Michael on the outside. locks up the rear brakes. In order to keep him spinning, he drove it straight in. But he really had his brake balance pretty good because he started locking up all 4 of them, Paul.
Well, Michael back under power now, but boy, he lost with that one.
He didn't have to go that deep. He just undersold. He knows Little Al drives awfully deep, like Sam said a little while ago. And I think he just overdid it just a bit on account of that.
Brought back to 6th place during that.
Traditionally, the leader at halfway here at Long Beach has gone on to win 9 of 11 races. And, of course, that leader is this man right here, and he's looking good right now.
I could have foreseen Michael trying to pass Little Al right there in the number 1 car, probably within 2 or 3 laps. I kept nudging you, Paul, because I could just tell the way he was growling Little Al that he was going to try a pass. Unfortunately, it didn't work for him.
Don't be nudging. Speak right up.
But now you notice where Bobby Rahal suddenly is, lurking behind Little Al.
Rahal
lost a little time in that, too. So this is a clear battle for the lead once again.
Well, and what it does is we look at the race summaries, it brings Christian Fittipaldi up. But Emerson got around Christian for 3rd place as that was happening with Michael. So Christian sits in 4th place, and Eddie Cheever is now in 5th place.
And don't forget, this doesn't put Michael out. Michael is back in. Michael will be running good. There's still a pit stop to come. So this is not the end of the race by far. But it's got to make Little Al a lot more comfortable, not look back here and see Michael.
Now, of course, we have the situation we had in Australia a few weeks ago. Rahal stalking a younger man, and of course Rahal now leading in the provisional championship standings. He's been 2nd 4 times here. Remember, Rahal has never won, so you're looking at very characteristic positions.
2 different chassis, a Penske in front, a Lola in 2nd, but identical Mercedes-Benz power plants.
Yes, they are. You know, I think Little Al right now is having some sort of a handling problem or some sort of a problem because he's actually been slowing down a little bit. I don't think Rahal's going any faster. Let's watch it.
Keeping an eye on Rahal. While we do, let's check with Jack.
Well, Paul, let's update you on the pit strategies for 1st and 2nd. For Bobby Rahal, Carl Hogan and the crew has determined that they're going to run the window for this pit stop as far as they possibly can, hopefully to lap 65. They say if they can get to 65, they can go the distance with no concern about fuel. On the other hand, the problem is with Team Penske is now that Al Jr. is out there, they're trying as best they can to conserve some fuel. They want to come in around lap 6.3. I asked Richard Buck if they would then be able to go the distance. He says, yes, I can. I think.
That might be telling. All of the top 6 stopped 40 laps ago. So this will be a real interesting tell on comparing these engines and how they're set up and how far they can go.
You know, a lot of these mechanics are afraid to tell us, the TV people, what they're really doing on their fuel mileage because most of the teams have a television set right in their pits there. So they find out what's going on via ABC.
Well, then some of them are like you and they just lie to Jack all the time anyway.
That could be.
No, actually, I'll tell you what, it amazes me, especially Richard Buck, who we just mentioned, what a good relationship is there. They really give out some great information, stuff you might think should be secret to both Jack and Gary.
Rahal's really having a good race working on Little Al. Little Al is definitely off of his speed. For example, he's been turning 53.5 laps, roughly. He's turning 56 now, Paul. So he's definitely cutting back either on the fuel or he's got a little problem. I don't know which one.
Little Al just completed the 59th lap, 105 laps of scheduled distance, 166.95 miles the total distance.
Rahal qualified 6th, Little Al 4th.
That's Marco Greco sitting just in front of the leaders. New sponsor from him from Brazil, manufacturer of appliances. Let's go to pit side once again and Jack.
Well, a new face won't be in victory lane with Robbie Gordon after Phoenix. What happened here, Robbie?
Motor let go for some reason. I don't know why. It was overheating, and we were trying to stay in clean air, and it just overheated. We were trying to get some points.
A tough one for you. Over 480 of your fans and your local hometown friends are here in the grandstands. I didn't know you were going to need 500 tickets.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. We wish we could have done a better job with the Battling car this weekend and gathered some points, but the street circuits have been real tough to us. Can't wait to go to 3 ovals.
Well, there you have it, Paul, and Indy's coming up.
So all 3 of the Brat Pack are out. Al Unser Jr. is leading.
Robbie mentions street circuits as he chatted with Jack there. Remember that this is the very first one back in 1975, the first running here at Long Beach, and it really invented this form of of racing in America through the streets. Now, of course, we have races at Vancouver and Detroit and Miami and Surfers Paradise in Australia, Cleveland. But this was the first here, and it was so well done, and it meant so much to the economy of the city that it's been widely duplicated.
Now, people often wonder, Sam and Paul, what do they do to get better fuel mileage when they have to? Well, for often, like on a road course, they'll just shift early. Instead of like going to, say, 13,500 or 13,800, they'll start shifting at 13,000 or as low as sometimes even 12,500. Another thing they can do is they have dials in the car. They can dial them down. They tell them via the radio to lean it down, and they give it to them by steps. So I have a hunch this is probably what they've been telling Little Al to do.
Bobby Rahal sitting there right behind him. Third place, Emerson, then Christian Fittipaldi, then Eddie Cheever, then Michael Andretti. 14 cars are all running on the leader lap right now, Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, let me update you, too, as Al Unser Jr. gets ready to come on the pit road. He needs it badly. Because of the situation when he was in that hot contest with Michael Andretti, the team feels that he may have abused his tires and used up the right rear. So not only trying to conserve a little fuel, but running out of tires has dropped Little Al off the pace just a bit. But they are on pace, according to them, for their fuel stop, their fuel window, change the tires, and as I said before, they'll go the distance.
As Little Al flashes across the line, 45 laps since his last stop.
Let's also keep in mind when they talk about the right rear tire, that is the tire that he rubbed the wall with earlier.
Rahal, however, at this point is unable to keep any real pressure on. He's shadowing him. There's no reason for Rahal to risk a big pass right now with the stops coming up. He's playing a tactical game.
That's Bobby's style, Mr. Consistency all the way.
That's right. You rarely see him make a mistake.
He's for sure one of the smarter race drivers I've seen in an awful long time.
But then again, I mean, that's what makes this such a great matchup. Is Little Al is the dominant force on this track, and you rarely see him make a mistake of any kind here. Remember that Little Al was mired in a battle for last place in qualifying on Friday afternoon. He has never come from so far back on the grid to so far up in a race in his entire career.
Remember that, though, Sam. It wasn't quite that way because he had a valve spring broken in the engine, so he lost his time on the track from the engine.
Oh, I know.
But, Bobby, it sounded so good. Why'd you tell us that?
I don't know. It sounded too good. I had to.
Christian Fittipaldi is into the pits. It's been 45 laps since his last stop. This might give us an indication of where everything else goes. Driving for Derek Walker.
And what they're squirting...
Look at the crew. Oh, they like that one.
And I thought the football season was over.
What they're doing is they're squirting water on it. Water and alcohol mixed really good, prevents the fire from happening. Just to the people that don't know what they squirt on the car when they leave. It's not more fuel for sure.
Well, I think
Here it comes.
There comes the leader in, Al Unser Jr. Right into the Penske pits. Here's Jack.
Well, believe it or not, Bobby Unser is wrong for a change. The rear tire that he slapped the wall came off on the last stop. These tires go on, and what he needs is a fresh new right rear. Young Al Unser Jr. has got it. The car has been kicked back into gear, taking on all the fuel they can. He's off and away in 14 seconds.
And Bobby's on his way down to the pits to see you, Jack.
Now, I have an answer for it, which you know that I would.
No, I don't want to hear it.
It's the right rear corner, Jack. I didn't really mean the same tire. It's the right rear corner. Ooh. And on this track, the right rear is not the one that wears out first. It's the left rear that wears out first.
Here's what matters. Bobby Rahal stayed out, and so he assumes the lead of the race. You're on board with the leader. Emerson Fittipaldi up to second. Michael Andretti up to third. Al Unser Jr. came out in fourth place at the conclusion of his stop. And Teo Bobby now runs in fifth. And here comes Bobby Rahal to roll into the pits, Gary.
4 times he's been second in this event. He loves the way the car's working. Carl Hogan said, we make no changes. It's routine service for Rahal. Looking for a victory here. He wants to get to the head of the championship points. He's at 11, 12, 13 seconds, trying to get every bit of fuel. Here he goes, 15.4 on our clocks.
Well, I'll tell you what, based on the information we're looking at, we can look back on the EDS computer. Bobby went 48 laps from his last stop, but we're only at lap 65. So there seems to be no way in the world as we look at Al Unser Jr. closing on Bobby as they come out. Will Bobby hold him off? No, he won't. Little Al's got way too much speed into the corner.
Oh, that was a close one, though. I mean, I was really, if Bobby Rahal would have beat Little Al out he was going to raise the price of poker pretty high there.
When you think of all the things that happen in a pit stop, the way the driver has to brake precisely to a stop, the crew has to do its many, many functions, 6 men over the wall, everybody has to get back on the racetrack. Notice that these two teams and drivers executed all that in exactly the same amount of time and to resume their situation on the track.
Did you notice how fast that Bobby Rahal took off? It's lucky he didn't have the hose still hooked up.
That's Dean Hall in the subway car that separates them right now. By the way, what you can do here, there's a speed limit, 80 miles an hour, as we watch Michael make his stop as the leader of the race. 80 miles an hour while you're in the pits. But after you pass pit 28, all this area here you're looking at, you can throttle up on the pit exit and go as fast as you want.
Eurosport Live.
Just under 40 laps to go now, and the order here at Long Beach, well, there it is. Al Unser Jr. leads the race in the Penske Mercedes from Bobby Rahal in the Lola Mercedes. So far, a tremendous day. That's Danny Sullivan off the circuit, but he's not in the top 10 anyway. But Mercedes, first, second and third with Unser, Rahal and Emerson Fittipaldi. Then it's Christian Fittipaldi in the Reynard Ford. Then it's Michael Andretti after making that awful mistake under braking when trying to pass Al Unser Jr. Andretti really is going to regret that, because this race is going to have a tremendous effect on the championship. Bobby Rahal is now looking really good. He's second in the championship at the moment, and this race is going to put him right up at the top of the series. So everything to play for. Michael Andretti down in 7th place as we rejoin Paul Page and Bobby Unser in Long Beach.
Michael Andretti didn't look like it was enough of a touch to really matter to Michael, and the way he's turning this lap, I don't think it was. Michael runs in 6th place. Danny Sullivan, of course, is in the pits. Not really a factor in this race, running 16th now, down 1 lap.
Danny started with a really good race in Miami. He had a spin near the end of that, but he was running 3rd at the time. He needs to recover that top 10 form.
View the same action. Gets down inside, just barely touching.
Yeah, you couldn't see what happened. Michael's saying he's not waving his hand because he's mad. He's saying, I'm sorry, because he parked Danny right there in the corner.
You know, the body language of that is pretty subtle, though. I mean, I find a real difference from I'm sorry and I'm really angry with you. It's pretty subtle.
Danny's the one that's angry, I can promise you that.
35 laps to go.
As little Al leads, what do you think his favorite movie is, guys?
Oh, no.
It's The 10 Commandments, believe it or not. That's what it says in the press kit, and that's the movie that's on ABC tonight. What do you think of that? If he wins this race, it'll be a big evening for him.
Can we avoid this part, Paul?
There is the Posey fact of the race. Thank you so very much, Sam. You may now pack up and go home.
I told you I had one.
Yes, you did. You warned us, but I didn't believe it. Eddie Cheever drives for AJ. Was up running in 6th place at one time. Really worked his way up through the field. Now runs in 10th after the stops. What a great guy. Well-spoken, friendly. You know, here's what gets me, Bobby. You look at Eddie Cheever and you look at AJ Foyt. They seem to be opposites, total opposites.
Miles apart.
And yet both of them are racers and just seem to really get along with one another.
Eddie's been having problems. That him there in the Copenhagen car. He's been having problems, but during practice, but he's really been working hard at it. And I think he's a good race driver.
You saw him start at 18th up to 10th.
I think part of the reason for their good relationship is Eddie is a historian of racing, and one of the younger drivers that has the full appreciation for what AJ Foyt really was and is, and I think that respect is the cornerstone of their relationship.
You know, you got to remember also on that car that AJ Foyt is the engineer. And they don't have much help to do that. They have a lot of mechanics, and they have good mechanics. But Foyt is the boss, and he calls the shots. And I think it's more than strange to think that Eddie and Foyt could get along like that, too.
There you see the 16 car, Stefan Johansson, just in front of him. Stefan started 24th. He now runs in 8th place.
One of the few men to lead a race this year. He led for 6 laps down in Australia, and one of the great moments in his career. He really hung on to that car down there.
Best guess is it's a run to the finish. There's a great story on his helmet. You know, they had some green on Stefan's helmet, those leaves on the side. And finally, the team apparently convinced him green is not lucky in racing. He painted them blue for this week.
Well, there's that superstition theme again.
That's kind of like what Little Al, both of them changed the helmets for this race. Both of them having a better race. I'm not a person believing in superstitions, but...
Is he having a problem now? No, apparently not. He gets back into the throttle. Wondered for a second there when Zampedri got around him. But Zampedri
I think Zampedri is just having a really good day. Earlier, he was up to second. That was because he hadn't pitted. But the truth is, he's been running at least in midfield throughout the day, and he qualified very well.
And with that move, Zampedri picks up a position and now moves into 8th. Gary Gerald?
Scott Pruitt is in. As soon as they complete the change of the tires, they'll pull the fuel hose. This is what they call a short stop. He's off the jacks. The tires are changed. No, they're giving him more fuel. They're giving him the full complement. Now the hose runs empty. He's rolling in 16 seconds. That was not as quick as we'd expected from the crew.
Gave him a full tank of fuel. You saw it go up into the vent line there.
Yeah, this is a place where Pat Patrick has a lot of experience. He called the shots on this. Him and Jim McGee been together for many years, and they really work good as a team.
So 31 laps to go. Here was what made a world of difference in the race as Bobby Rahal was coming out of the pits on the stop, and Al Unser Jr. was charging down the main straightaway, carrying a lot more speed into the corner, and sailed right off into the lead of the race, and what may well be a win.
And there you see where Al Unser Jr. was able.
In 3rd place, it's Emerson Fittipaldi, and right behind him, Christian Fittipaldi. And there's been a tremendous dice between those two. Emerson is twice the age of Christian, Emerson being Christian's uncle, of course. And they've had a really great little battle in this race. But further down the field, for 10th position, it's Stefan Johansson and Eddie Cheever having a really good fight around the streets of Long Beach. Both Formula One drivers, of course, and they know all there is to know about street racing. But it's Al Unser who looks set at the moment for his 6th victory at Long Beach, and that would be an all-time record. He's won it 5 times already, which is exceptional in itself, but Little Al in the Penske looks as though he's coming up for a 6th victory. So, all action and drama at Long Beach, 30 laps to go, and it'll only just be inside the 2-hour time limit. If we get any more yellow flag running, then it will go right up to the 2 hours. And out so far, of course, is the championship leader, Paul Tracy. So right now, Bobby Rahal is set to take over the lead of the IndyCar Series before we go onto the ovals at Nazareth and Indianapolis. And this man, Andretti, has thrown away points yet again here at Long Beach. He's currently running in 5th place as we go back now to Paul Page and Bobby Unser.
In the Constructors' Championship, Reynard leads over Lola, who lead over Penske. Lots of trophies and awards being given out this year as part of the 1995 PPG IndyCar World Series.
Al Unser Jr. leads the race. None of the cars at the front of the field should have to make a pit stop. As we look at the running order, let's go down to Gary Gerald.
And while we were in that last break, Teo Fabi, who had been running 3rd, came in. He got one of the best service jobs we've seen today, Paul. 11.6 seconds, and he was gone.
But dropped him to 7th, unfortunately. He was in the top 5.
Those were the guys, though, with Fabi and that group that got off a little bit early on. Bobby Rahal.
Let's go to Jack Arute. Bobby Rahal stops on the edge of the course, Jack.
We're going to go down and check on Rahal, but normally Team Penske, as you know, guys, is a very calm lot. Well, as you look down in his pit today, they are not calm at all. In fact, they think that they have gambled on this fuel consumption. They keep saying they can go the distance, but then again, they've also just said to me, hey, it's a lot like playing poker. Sometimes you have to bluff, even if you don't have 3 aces showing. So I'm not really all that certain as to whether they do indeed have the amount to go. And we're caught up with Jim Prescott. Let's see if we can find out from Jim what the report from Bobby Rahal was on his car.
Something happened with the gearbox, and it just seized off, and that's...
Another gearbox takes another front runner out of this event in Long Beach, Paul.
Boy, interesting. Another powertrain problem. Rahal in a precarious position. They have not yet gone full course yellow.
You can bet when little Al comes around, sees Rahal sitting there, he's going to be told pretty quick by his crew that it's a transmission problem. It's going to make everybody rethink their positions on the transmission. The transmissions by now have been worked hard all day.
And Jack, of course, just to underscore what you said about the Penske fuel issue, remember that just a week ago at Phoenix, they had to pull their lead car out of the race. Emerson Fittipaldi was leading.
We go full course yellow for Al Unser Jr. Actually, the yellow, of course, for Bobby Rahal, but Al Unser Jr. picks up some advantage and then loses it to this full course yellow. So his teammate, Emerson Fittipaldi, will close in Michael Andretti's third. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Eurosport Live.
As you rejoin us then for the final stage of the race here at Long Beach, it is Al Unser from Emerson Fittipaldi. Penske are back on top. It's taken them 4 races to get it together, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Penske Mercedes first and second. Michael Andretti has hauled himself back up to 3rd position, and Christian Fittipaldi is 4th for Reynard Ford. And the championship contenders, Rahal, Tracy and Villeneuve, are all out of the race.
We are still under a full course yellow. Al Unser Jr. will be the leader. Let's go to the pits. Jack Arute.
Well, it's an interesting situation. We've talked about the problems with Team Penske all year, where they're back where we've seen them so many times, running 1-2. Rick Mears, who calls a lot of the shots in terms of advising, is huddled over here checking everything with Roger Penske. Rick, one of the tough things when you've got a situation under a yellow like this is it aids your fuel consumption, takes you out of the concerns for the finish, but do you bring a guy in? Don't you? You know, what's the thought process here?
Sorry, you just got to play it by ear and see where we're at. You know, the car's running pretty well, and you know, I think we just got to keep this pace going and just get it home. Bring it home. That's the key.
One of the things, guys, to watch around here is the way they work. You can see Roger Penske here trying to check with the people on telemetry. They are in a very proactive mode right now, and they're trying to decide, should they come in, shouldn't they? But I checked with Chuck Sprague, his teammate who calls the shots on Emerson Fittipaldi. They insist that they're fine. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, the familiar face belongs to A.J. Foyt, and A.J.'s got to be one of the happiest guys in this pit road. It looks like your car's working as good today, A.J., as it has any time this season.
Well, it has. We're gaining, and we're getting ready to go green, so let me talk to the driver. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, Eddie Cheever is running 5th. He was 3rd here in 1991. They're excited. They're looking for a chance to get on the podium, and this yellow flag has helped them dramatically on fuel. They were very concerned.
And what do you think Eddie's going to get told? Stand on the gas.
Look at little Al pulling away. That's what he wants. He wants a little gap.
Well, he's going to get it, too.
Between him and Emerson.
Andre Ribeiro comes into the pits as they come up to speed once again. There's Fittipaldi, the 2nd place car. Christian Fittipaldi, the green and yellow car, looks like a rippling Brazilian flag, runs in 3rd place, but he is well back in the order. Penske cars right together. Let's look for Fittipaldi. There he is as he gets touched by Michael.
Michael really got rattled by 2 cars there at one time, back and forth.
He and Michael are battling for position. The battle is for 3rd. Christian Fittipaldi is in it at this moment.
But Michael, of course, has set his sights on catching the 2 Penske cars. That's why he's frustrated that he's so far back of them right now. Whoa, that's a block by Fittipaldi.
Now, Fittipaldi is blocking. There's no question about that.
Doesn't work.
Here's where Michael went off. Late break. He's okay this time.
So Michael Andretti gets past him and moves into 3rd place. Now Now where's Eddie Cheever? He should be back there behind Christian somewhere.
Michael's really, watch him get a little bit tweaky as he comes off the corner there. He's really trying hard.
He took a deep breath. He knows if he has any chance to win this race, he's got to move through this traffic very fast and set up his attack on Emerson and Little Al.
Frank Prix on the 64 car there.
Renting the ride for the weekend.
Bad place for Christian to catch him. Yeah, that was that bad corner there.
So Christian is caught up just a little bit. While we're watching this, let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Bobby Rahal, it just seems as if after a great start in the beginning of the season, now these little mechanical gremlins are striking Hogan Racing.
Well, it's, yeah, we lost the gearbox today. Why, I have no idea, but the car ran competitively, so I'll take that, and we'll get the reliability.
A little bit different situation for you because you're also part of the ownership team here. What does that do to the mindset of the driver when you know you've got these mechanical problems?
Well, I think more importantly, we know we've got the pace, and that's what you have to have first and foremost to win a championship, and we'll get the reliability down.
Championship, that's the word that's so important to this team, Paul.
Well, speaking of championships, if you total, and this is Emerson. Wow. He was running in second. How'd he get there? Is that a pull-off or a spin-off? Looks like a spin-off.
Don't see any damage on the car. He set it at an odd angle for it to be a mechanical problem, so.
Yeah, just pulled off. Now what they're doing is they're just pouring some water on there, cool everything down so that the cowling doesn't catch fire. IndyCar safety crew is right there as well, but second place car very quickly to the edge of the course, but Fittipaldi staying into the cockpit.
Apparently he'd been smoking, Paul. Somebody had been smoking on the car. He's just sitting at an awfully weird angle just to have a mechanical failure.
So that takes everybody forward. Here's Eddie Cheever as he comes around Frank Fillon and now runs in fourth place. Also Gugelman sitting just behind. There he is as he tries to get inside Cheever. Not a battle for position, but definitely some racing.
With Emerson out, the gap between first and second, Michael Andretti is 6 seconds.
Gugelman runs in 11. Cheever now runs in fourth. Let's go to Jack.
Well, Paul, let's update you on Emerson Fittipaldi. Not a gearbox, not a problem with a header, simply an engine that has expired.
Boy, surprising report.
Yeah, I know. We don't hear that very often, especially from the Penske cars.
Just the way Jack said it, too. Not a problem with the headers, nothing with the gearbox. Two things that don't necessarily have manufacturers. We'll be back.
Well, this could hardly be more dramatic as we go into the last 10 minutes or so at Long Beach. Emerson Fittipaldi out of the race. As soon as we began to talk about the return of a Penske 1-2, Emerson Fittipaldi disappears from the action. Michael Andretti then up into second position and only 6 seconds behind Al Unser. And Michael Andretti must have taken a major dose of aggression pills today, because I've never seen Andretti drive like this. He is he's verging on barging people out of his way. He muscled his way past Christian Fittipaldi. He's already tangled with Danny Sullivan. He's already tangled earlier on in the race, or nearly, with Al Unser, but he lost it under braking and Al got away from him. But Michael Andretti is very fired up indeed, and of course he's got 24 points in the championship. He's lying fourth and he desperately wants more points. There's Scott Pruitt. We're on the Firestone tyres with the Lola. A good race for Scott Pruitt. He's outside the top four though, and a real surprise in the top four at the moment is Eddie Cheever in AJ Foyt's Lola Ford. AJ will absolutely love this. If Cheever can get up onto the podium, well, that would really be something for AJ. There's Teo Fabi, still going reliably, consistently, typical Teo. Very consistent driver. You hardly ever see this man make a mistake. And he's in a good little battle here with Scott Pruitt, Teo Fabi. In third place is Christian Fittipaldi in the Reynard. So we've got Penske, Lola, Reynard, and then Eddie Cheever. So plenty of excitement still to come, and especially between these two, Teo Fabi and Scott Pruitt. We haven't seen a major piece of progress with the Firestone tyres over the last couple of races, but I think they've surprised a lot of people with just how competitive they are, and it'll be very interesting when we get to Indianapolis to to see what sort of a tyre Firestone can produce with that. We are with Michael Andretti. He's got Stefan Johansson in front of him, who's not always an easy man to pass. And this may be the point at which to look away, because Michael is fired up today in California as we go back to Paul Page and Bobby Unser.
Well, here's the way it sets up as we go to the final 15 laps of the run through the streets at the world's largest beach party. Al Unser Jr. is the leader by 7 seconds over Michael Andretti. Christian Fittipaldi, when his uncle went out, assumed third place. And the battle right now is just a bit further back. Eddie Cheever runs in fourth place. And the battle is Teo Fabi and Scott Pruitt. There they are. The 33 car of Fabi, the 20 car of Scott Pruitt. And the fight, of course, is for fifth.
And keep in mind, too, on Scott Pruitt, that's the Firestone shod car. That's the one car, it's their main car from Firestone. It's a different tire than all the Goodyears, obviously. And it's been working pretty good here. I think they've been fast all day, Paul.
Behind this battle is Stefan Johansson, then Carlos Guerrero, Mauricio Gugelmin, and Eric Bachelard. Let's go to Gary.
Paul, we had 2 reports that Michael Andretti may be experiencing gearbox problems, that he's upset. But we've gone to Tom Wirtz and to Peter Gibbons and the crew. They say no, there is no such problem. So let's wait and watch.
Well, Teo Fabi now closes down on Eddie Cheever as Dean Hall gets himself in trouble. Teo Fabi runs in fifth.
Kind of a bad place to be setting right there. Incidentally, that's that same corner that gives a lot of them problems.
Fabi in fifth, and as he closes on Cheever, that's going to be a battle for fourth.
If Michael gets a break, as you see Al going by right there, get a sense of the gap back to Michael. It's about 6 or 7 seconds. You should see Michael just there. He comes through now. Under the yellow, they may close up. It depends.
They're trying to pull Dean Hall back, but he wouldn't let off the brakes. He didn't realize the guys were trying to get him out of the place where the cars run. If anybody comes through there trying to pass another car, we got a problem.
And Danny Sullivan, as he goes through the area, darts to the inside.
Boy, it's nerve-wracking when you're sitting in a car that way Dean is.
What about nerve-wracking for Dean? He's in the car. What about those 3 guys out in the open?
He finally let the brake off so he could get them back there.
I'll tell you, you guys praised the course workers earlier, but they are the heart and soul of this sport. Imagine being willing to do what they're doing right now, not me.
Exactly.
I'd want to be down in that car with all the fire protection and the chassis around me and everything.
92 laps complete. Al Unser Jr. the leader. Michael Andretti. Some report that there may be a gearbox problem there. There comes the leaders through.
And now we'll be looking again for Michael coming through behind him. If there is a gearbox problem, the gap has stayed roughly the same. It's now up to 7 and change, so it's actually increasing. Little Al is pulling away slightly.
Well, Michael's closed up just a bit there, Sam, so I don't think he's got a transmission problem. He's got a half a second. He got the last lap.
Well, Bobby, he was 5 seconds back. He's now 7 seconds back, so the gap is growing a little bit. If Al is able to hold on and win, it will be his 28th win, which will break his tie with Johnny Rutherford on the all-time win list and put him just 1 win behind Michael.
And make him, without question, the absolute master of the beach.
You can bet that little Al.
He is that.
He was king last year. Was he going to Emperor now? Is that the next rank up?
He's really trying to take care of that car right now. He knows the other guys have been having transmission problems via Roger Penske.
Bobby, what is it you think that makes your nephew so special here? There's some kind of magic that he has.
You know, I think, Stan, I've been thinking about that too, because, I mean, he's looking at his 6th win. I think it's something like Pikes Peak with the Unsers. He's just inherited this race.
Looking back for a second. And here he comes. Oh, that's a lot of distance to make up. 93 laps complete.
That gap is now up to 8.5 seconds, so it's drawing out.
Let's just ride with Michael here for a second. See if we can hear something.
Got transmission problems. He's lost the low gear. He had to come off that turn 1 gear too high, which he's slipping the clutch. Now that's a no-no. That's going to mean the clutch may not make it.
Bobby, remember we heard that in Australia. It preceded Michael Andretti crashing out of 2nd place.
Al Unser Jr. leads it. Michael is in 2nd as we come to the closing laps.
So just 12 laps to go at Long Beach, and Michael Andretti is in trouble. He's lost at least 1 gear, maybe 2. You heard him fumbling for a gear out of that corner. He had a box of neutrals for about 1.5 seconds. So I really don't think we're going to see anybody challenging Al Unser Jr. for his 6th win at Long Beach. There's Christian Fittipaldi. This is a tremendous drive by Christian, a man who deserved so much better from his Formula One career. He made the move to come to IndyCar racing, and it really has worked for him. He's running in 3rd position here. He's got Eddie Cheever somewhere behind him. So it looks as though Christian Fittipaldi is going to be up on the podium at the end of this IndyCar race at Long Beach. And that's Maurizio Gugelmin giving a bit of hassle there, but Gugelmin is further back down the order. And there's still a tremendous dice going on, this one between Cheever and Fabi. Look at this. This is Eddie Cheever ahead of Teo Fabi at the moment, but not by much, as you can see. And they'll be getting pretty tired by this stage of the race. They've been driving now for 1 hour and nearly 50 minutes. It's a hot day in Long Beach, high track temperature. The gearboxes have been taking a real pounding, but so of course have the drivers. So now it's going to be survival of the fittest as we go into the last 11 or so laps before the checkered flag. And this is definitely Eddie Cheever's greatest race for a very long time. If he can keep Fabi behind him, that'll be him just 1 position off the podium. And AJ Foyt, his teamliner, will be very chuffed indeed. And in fact, Cheever seems to get away on the straight a bit. Fabi doesn't seem to have quite the same straight line speed, but look at Scott Pruitt coming up behind them. This is going to be a 3-way battle any moment. Scott Pruitt in the Lola Ford is catching Fabi, and I think Cheever's holding up Fabi a bit around these twisty sections. That's what's happening. Cheever gets away on the straight, but through all these tight fiddly bits, Fabi gets right up on Cheever, and that allows Pruitt to catch them as well, and Stefan Johansson's not far behind. So, some good battles still to come here at Long Beach. Al Unser a long way out in the lead. He's got more than 10 seconds now on Andretti. And this could be the battle to watch for the rest of the afternoon. This Cheever, Fabi and Scott Pruitt battle. Here's Michael, struggling with the gearbox. He'll just be hoping to finish now. That's the best he can hope for. Try and hang on to this 2nd place, give him some more points in the championship, because don't forget all the top guys in the series, that's Tracy, Villeneuve and Rahal, they're all out of the running. So Scott Pruitt is the only man at the top of the championship who's still running. So for the last few laps at Long Beach, we go back to Paul Page and Bobby Unser.
Well, just watch that Teo Fabi working on Eddie Cheever. Teo's awfully good racer. Cheever hasn't had a very good handling car for a long time, really making hay while the sun shines.
Remember, both Cheever, who you see in the black car, and Fabi, now they both have extensive Formula One experience, neither able to win in Formula One, both very competitive in Indy cars right now.
It's a good race for Eddie Cheever. He's needed a good one.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Emerson, you've made your way back to the pits. An expired motor, disappointment once again.
Well, Jack, I was catching Junior. I had the quickest car on the track. The team made a fantastic work. I was coming from 9 to 2nd behind Junior, and I knew I was going to challenge Junior, and that was a shame what happened. But, the car is very strong. The team is very strong. I'm looking for the next race in Nazareth, and still for the season, we can win the championship.
Tough part is, guys, is when you hear him say those words, he thinks maybe he's trying to convince himself as well right now.
Piece of debris went bouncing across the course there. Just as a matter of fact, because the EDS scoring system lets us do stuff like this, not to say Emerson's wrong, but the fastest lap of the race has been turned by Michael Andretti. He turned it on lap 60 at 106.8 miles an hour.
Suppose you're Scott Pruitt, the 3rd car in this 3-car lineup here. What do you do? You are hoping that Fabi makes an ill-timed move on Cheever, or Cheever cuts Fabi off. There's every chance that that'll happen.
3 of those guys are like a bunch of dogs in a fight right now. They're really going after it at every corner.
There's Christian Fittipaldi. He runs in 3rd place.
Yes, Fittipaldi had been closing on 2nd place Michael Andretti until about 2 laps ago. Then he began to drop back. As you see, he's almost in Cheever's clutches there.
Yeah, he could be in serious trouble by the end of Seaside. They turn on to Seaside now.
Fabi pulls over, but he's not close enough to make a pass. He keeps egging Eddie on, though. Eddie Cheever on. Eddie sees him pull over in his mirror. A little hard to see in the mirrors when a guy's directly behind you, but if you pull off the side, the guy definitely sees you.
Well, while we continue to track this, which is now a four-way fight for third, let me tell you that Al Unser Jr.'s interval to Michael Andretti is now only 5 seconds. So 3 seconds disappeared there somewhere. Was it little Al comfortable in the lead and slowing down, or is Michael suddenly quicker?
Just by watching little Al, Paul, I'd say that he's just being very careful. You know, with all the engine, well, not so many engine, but transmission failures, he's got to know that he needs to finish this thing, otherwise no wind's going to be.
Oh, and Michael blocks him again and slides off. Same corner as before. The turn on the Linden. Oh, no. Second place. Jack Arute, you were about to add something to this just before Michael slid off.
Well, let's add to you, the concern about Christian Fittipaldi is a failing gearbox. The concern about the slowing of Al Unser Jr., according to our Buck and the crew, hey, when you're out front, you don't want to push it unless you have to. So they've slowed things down just a bit.
So with Michael, here he is as he locked him up and slid off.
Now what he did is he locked up the rears in order to keep him spinning the car out, Paul. He let the brakes off, drove ahead a little bit. Now he's got a problem because he can't get a reverse out of the transmission. The guys have got to push him back to course workers so he can go again.
So here's what happens. Christian Fittipaldi gets passed for Teo Fabi. That is now the second place car, Teo Fabi. Christian is back to third. In fourth place is Scott Pruitt. Eddie Cheever is fifth.
And Michael, while he was running second, was actually leading the points chase. Of course, now he's dropped out of that.
Michael's rear brakes locked up. He must have his brakes just awfully hot because when he put on the brakes down there, the rear's locked momentarily. Michael doing the right thing, let off the brakes, drove it straight so he wouldn't spin out. Unfortunately, he was in a very bad position.
Now Christian has really fallen well back. What's the smoke there? Looks like somebody lost the rear end for a second. Michael Andretti getting going again is what it was.
There's Pruitt is snuck by Cheever.
And in doing so, Pruitt runs now in fourth place. He's now the points leader. So we're going all the way to the checkered flag, and this thing's not over, except for the fact that Al Unser Jr., with all this action, now suddenly has 22 seconds on second place.
And if Al Unser Jr. holds on to win, remember this will make the fourth different driver this season who's won a race. You have to go back over 3 years for that to have happened before. Four different drivers.
Just think, Sam, all this action and only 3 laps to go.
And there may be more yet. Here's Pruitt.
Scott Pruitt looking at another podium finish in third place, but can he chase down Teo Fabi? Teo's just ahead. About a second and a half ahead as they hit that corner.
Pruitt's team had some bad luck at Phoenix, so they might have been on the podium there too. An infraction called by the officials. They were unable to discuss that infraction with the officials. The black flag was shown. Regrettable incident. He might have been on the podium. It's all been sorted out now, though.
I'll tell you what, don't count out Eddie Cheever here. Did you see him come off of the corner? About 2 corners ago, he really pitched it wide. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Here's heartbreak looming for a couple of teams. Teo Fabi and Scott Pruitt, we're told, are both going to get stop-and-go penalties for passing Eddie Cheever in a yellow zone.
So those 2 positions were improved under a yellow. Oh, no. So second place goes, third place goes out. Cheever will come forward. That puts Christian Fittipaldi back up to third once again when they display that black flag.
Incredible. 2 black flags for this man, Scott Pruitt, in 2 successive weekends with a major impact on the outcome of the race.
And having a massive impact on the outcome.
If you think that Matt Patrick isn't going to be chewing nails this time, boy, just watch this. He's still having a controversy over the last race in Phoenix last weekend.
Al Unser Jr. crossed the line 22 seconds ahead of second place car as he crossed the line, taking the white flag, indicating the final lap. Teo Fabi acknowledges the black flag, comes into the pits. There is Al Unser Jr., the emperor of the beach, as he makes the final 3 turns. A left, then a right, and the checkered flag will lie ahead. Al Unser Jr. comes onto shoreline. Oh, so careful. As Christian Fittipaldi stalls in front of him. That's going to cost Christian Fittipaldi greatly as Al Unser Jr. scores his 6th win at Long Beach and his 28th career win. Al Unser Jr. takes the win, and Penske Racing is looking strong again. We'll be back, hopefully, to talk with the leader right after this.
Well, what an absolutely fantastic race in Long Beach. It's been a long time since we had such a lot of drama in an IndyCar race, right up until the last gasp. absolutely on the edge of our seats here. It was pretty clear, I guess, that Al Unser Jr. was going to win it for Penske Mercedes, but behind him, well, I mean, absolute Armageddon. It's too much to believe that Scott Pruitt could have another black flag. He looked like a sure third place there. The same for Teo Fabi, overtaking under the yellow flag, we understand. I have to say I missed that, and so too did the American team. We didn't see that happening. They overtook Eddie Cheever under the yellow flag, but this will have a big impact on the championship because Paul Tracy, the championship leader, out of the race very early on. Jacques Villeneuve out of the race. Ray Hull out. Scott Pruitt down the order now after that black flag violation and a stop-go penalty, although quite how he was supposed to do a stop-go penalty on the very last lap of the race is a bit beyond me. But anyway, the championship now wide open. And that is absolute tragedy for Christian Fittipaldi, and the way he's sitting there says it all. Christian, a fantastic race, nearly 2 hours on the racetrack, and to break down on the very last lap. We don't know what went wrong, but in fact the official results are still putting Fabi and Pruitt up there on the podium, so we'll have to wait and see what the outcome of that is. We did hear that it was going to be a black flag penalty, passing under the yellow flag, and therefore a stop-go, but they weren't able to do a stop-go. They couldn't possibly have done that. It was the very last lap of the race. So Paul Tracy either does or doesn't lead the championship, depending on whether Scott Pruitt and Teo Fabi are in the results. Well, look, they're celebrating okay. That's Scott Pruitt, the man who's done so well so far this season, surprised a great many people. Very little IndyCar experience.
Well, thank you very much. I just got to thank the whole Marlboro Team Penske for a wonderful job. I want to say hello to Al and Cody and Shannon at home, and this one's for you guys.
Well, Paul, they called him the king. I think you're right. They should call him the emperor of the beach.
Little Al Unser back on top at last. He absolutely nowhere in the championship until this weekend, and now he's right up there with the guys who've been doing the winning in the first part of the season. So Penske Mercedes back on top where they should be, where they usually are, and everybody's been saying watch out for them, they will be back, and they sure are. And going on to the Oval at Nazareth in a couple of weeks' time, and then the month of May at Indianapolis, this could really be the renaissance of Penske. Enormously bad luck for Emerson Fittipaldi, an engine problem just a few laps from home. But really the story of the race has been attrition here at Long Beach. Enormous number of gearbox transmission problems. Michael Andretti making another mistake under braking, just braking too late and too deep for that right-hander at the end of the straight there. He obviously had a problem with the brakes. I can't believe he would have done that twice in one race, but he threw away an enormous number of points as he slid into the escape road. He then couldn't find reverse gear. There's Christian Fittipaldi, and he must be feeling absolutely awful, trying his heart out for 2 hours. He was looking at a finish on the podium, the first time he would have done that in IndyCar racing, and the car just stopped halfway around the last lap. We have absolutely no idea why. It couldn't possibly have run out of fuel, I wouldn't think. A sudden transmission problem is the most likely explanation. So there they are. They're unofficial, yes, they're unofficial, of course, because there's going to be argument after the race about whether or not Fabi and Pruitt passed under the yellow flag. What a shame that yet another big international motor race should end under controversial circumstances. We just don't seem to be able to get through a race at the moment without there being arguments over what did or didn't happen. We won't know how the World Formula One Championship stands until after next Thursday, and we won't know about Long Beach until, I guess, at least tomorrow. So we can't tell you how the IndyCar Championship stands at the moment because of the unofficial results from Long Beach. But certainly if Scott Pruitt does get that place on the podium, then he will lead the championship. There's no doubt about that, because at the moment Paul Tracy leads with 32 points from Villeneuve, Rahal and Scott Pruitt all on 30. So join us again in 2 weeks' time when we go to Nazareth for yet another oval race. And if it's as exciting as Long Beach, it'll be absolutely unmissable. Good night.
Great job.
IndyCar was brought to you on Eurosport by Firestone and Valvoline.